Hello, Jeff Tito Thidoff here with another edition of the Hoops on Lane podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you also for subscribing. We're on Facebook and Twitter. I'd love to hear from you. hoopsonlane@gmail.com. That's how you can find me. I'll respond to your emails there. The Ohio State women on Sunday lost 74-68 to Ohio University. And it's not a terrible win for the Buckeyes. It's tough because it's a home game, and it's tough because it's a game in which the Buckeyes match up well talent-wise with the OU. So I think that it's a game Ohio State should have won. And the reason they didn't win, as far as I'm concerned, is quite simple. Janae Crooms was in foul trouble. Janae Crooms is their ultimate playmaker, somebody who's going to be the one to distribute the ball out to these players. And she got to run the point some last year. And so she's got the experience there, and just her ability to drive the lane and dish off to people, it's important to this team. But she picked up her third foul midway through the second quarter. When she picked up her foul, the Buckeyes were ahead by 8 points, 25-17. And then after that, the wheels kind of fell off for Ohio State. They couldn't get back in there. They ended up leading at the half by 2, but outscored 23-15 in the third. Crooms ended up fouling out of the game. She ended up with just 2 points in this game, with 6 rebounds and 3 assists. Now, Braxton Miller had to assume most of the responsibilities for distributing the ball because of the foul trouble. Crooms played 15 minutes, 18 seconds. That was it. Braxton Miller played 36 minutes and 58 seconds, almost the entire game. She ended up with 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists, but just 3 of 12 in the field. Miller's offensive game, along with the entire Buckeye team, really, is elevated when Crooms is on the floor handling the ball. Dorka Juhas, just 4 of 13 from the field. I mentioned, Miller 3 for 12, Aaliyah Patty 3 for 7, 1 for 9 for J.C. Sheldon. This Buckeye team needs Crooms to stay healthy and stay on the floor, out of foul trouble, in order to beat a team that's got as much talent as Ohio University does. Now, if the Buckeyes are playing against a lesser team than OU, they can get by with Crooms not playing that many minutes. But in a game like that yesterday, on Sunday, when the Buckeyes have a very talented team that won 30 games last year, Ohio State needs to have Crooms out there on the floor. Kudos to Miller for her game. You also got 12 points out of Kirsten Bell. The Buckeye team can make up for scoring. They have enough depth for scoring to make up if someone gets in foul trouble. Braxton Miller or Dorka Juhas. By the way, Dorka, 9 points and a career-high 16 rebounds. Only 1 for 7 on free throws, though. That's concerning. The Buckeyes can overcome deficiencies if someone who's a scorer, someone they count on to put the ball in the basket, gets in foul trouble or is ineffective. But they cannot make up for as easily having Crooms out of the game. With the playmaking, Miller can certainly execute it, but the Buckeyes need Miller to be a lead scorer and not a distributor for this team to be successful. The Buckeyes were up 5 after one quarter, and like I said, up 25-17 when Crooms picked up her third personal foul with about 6 minutes to go. I think in the second quarter is when that happened, and that's when Ohio State had their struggles after that. Ohio State's got plenty of scores. These young freshmen that come in, they're also big-time players for Ohio State, and they can certainly score, but they're going to need Crooms going forward. Now, OU only played 7 players in the game. Erica Johnson had 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists for OU. Team high, 23 points for Amani Burke, 15 points, 8 rebounds out of Sierra Hooks. Johnson led them in assists with 6, and Johnson also led them in rebounds with 12. She had a triple-double earlier this year. It's the first one in OU women's basketball history. So it's not a terrible loss for Ohio State because OU is a 30-win team from last year with a lot of people back. The part that's tough about it is it's a game that Ohio State could very well have won if Crooms plays 25, 28, 30 minutes. I think Ohio State wins this game. Because of the foul trouble, I think that's why Ohio State lost this game. It's not right to put it all on Crooms because of other things like I mentioned about the 1 for 7 for Dorka Juhas from the line. She missed 6 of the total 8 free throws Ohio State missed in this game. The Buckeyes did out-rebound OU 50-41. Usually when the Buckeyes out-rebound the opponent, they win. It's an astounding winning percentage. Didn't happen today, though, on Sunday over at the Schottenstein Center, Value City Arena, where the Buckeyes fall to OU 74-68. So the Buckeyes now 2-1 on the season. It's not the worst thing in the world for them to have this loss early on in the season. It's not going to hurt them long term, I don't believe, because I believe OU wins the MAC and ends up being in the NCAA tournament. So it won't be looked at as a terrible loss. Next up for the Buckeyes on Thursday night, they're at Kent State. That game's at 7:30. We'll be sure to preview that on Thursday as well. The men, meanwhile, they host Stetson at 8:30 on Monday as part of the Buckeye Classic. The Stetson team's 2-0. The Buckeyes should have no problem. They should roll in this game. I want to talk about the Villanova game a little bit. The big win for Ohio State, leading start to finish and blowing out Villanova from the Big East. Villanova was ranked in the top 10. I'm not sure if they're a top 10 team. Nonetheless, Ohio State's got 3 chances in the preseason, I think, to really establish themselves in the eyes of the people, the committee, when it comes to placing them in the NCAA tournament. Joe Lunardi, by the way, from ESPN, and the bracketologist, he has Ohio State right now as a 2 seed. But the Buckeyes, really, there were 3 games that I circled on the calendar. This isn't rocket scientist, but Villanova, North Carolina, and Kentucky. The 3 games, I really think Ohio State, they can't afford to go 0-3 in them. 1-2's okay. 2-1's ideal. Well, they're 1-0 now after knocking off Villanova. The next 2 are certainly going to be tough. North Carolina and Kentucky. Kentucky, number 1 team for a while this year already before losing to Evansville, where they lost their game. But still, Kentucky, a very talented team. I don't expect the Buckeyes to win both of those. If they can win one of them, though, if they can get to 2-1 out of those 3 games and then be what they're supposed to be in the Big Ten, which isn't necessary to win it, but they've got a lot of games they should win. Big Ten's tough top to bottom. They play Michigan State just the one time at the end of the season at East Lansing, I believe is where that game is. It's an important time for Ohio State because when the committee goes to place the Buckeyes in the NCAA tournament field this year, they're going to look at those 3 games, the Villanova, North Carolina, Kentucky games, and see how the Buckeyes held up. And right now, the Buckeyes with the big win over Villanova, that's huge. And so the Buckeyes are already off on the right foot there, and now the team goes into play Stetson with a ton of confidence. Caleb Wesson had a 2nd straight double-double. DJ Carton looks better and better, more comfortable with things. This Buckeye team has got a chance. I don't think they're as talented as Michigan State, but I think they present a big matchup problem for Michigan State because of how well Ohio State can defend from the perimeter and defend Cassius Winston. The Buckeyes have got major athletes at the guard spot led by DJ Carton. They've got guys who can play recklessly if they want to against him and not worry about picking up a foul if they do, because there's a lot more people coming in behind them to help the cause in defending Cassius Winston and Michigan State. And if you can stop Cassius Winston or slow him down, you've got a great chance of beating the Spartans. That's why I think Ohio State does have that chance to do it based on the makeup of this roster. The game is Stetson on Monday. Ohio State should win easily. We're not going to learn anything about Ohio State, much like I said when they play some of these teams like this. You're not going to learn anything unless it's bad. The only thing we can learn from this game is that if Ohio State is in a close game, which they shouldn't be, this should be a blowout game. It should be a 20-point victory at least for Ohio State. So we're not going to learn much from the Buckeyes in this one. Look for an easy win for the Buckeyes. And they'll get some more games coming up where they're going to be clearly better than the other team, than their opponent. But keep an eye out for them, though. Again, the North Carolina Kentucky games will be big. I'm curious. The one thing I will watch for is how much DJ Carton plays and see how much he gets people involved in this. I know that Dwayne Washington, he's one of my favorites so far this year to watch. I like his athleticism. I like what he's doing as well. And also, Walker at the guard position. He had a big game last week, or had a big game against Villanova. Somebody else is important to the way this team is going to progress going forward. So again, thank you for tuning into the podcast, subscribing. We'll have more this week. We'll recap the Stetson game tomorrow night.
Hoops on Lane is a production of Potovox Studios.
Potovox.